Yo, what's good, everybody? One Piece Chapter 1032 just dropped. It's a banger, so make sure you smash that like button, go ahead and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. So the chapter actually picks up with Marco carrying Izo. They're both flying because Izo has a bad feeling about it. He heard the mentions of a yokai that is on fire and he has a bad feeling about it. So they're rushing to that location. We know that that's the Kaizambo that Kanjuro created. So Izo's hunch is correct. And of course, Kinemon and Kiku are already over there. So I don't know if it's observation hockey or something that Izo's using, but his hunch is right on point. On the way there, they fly past what seems to be a skyscraper-sized Big Mom. I mean, holy cow, she's huge after absorbing a year of her own lifespan. And Marco and Izo's like, don't get distracted. Don't even bother stopping and checking out what's up with this Big Mom situation. And we see here that the war is very much still waging. We've got the samurai and the beast pirates and everybody. They're still all out fighting. Even though when you add the Kaizambo and the castle just going up in flames on top of that, it just creates chaos. So we cut now to where we see our motley crew of xDrake, Apu, and Yamato still on their mission. Well, Yamato's on her mission to get rid of the weapons cache. Drake is following Apu, who is following Yamato, Apu's still trying to get her on his side. She's essentially still not letting him in, like she's not letting him have it. She doesn't want to team up with Apu, but this has essentially created an unwanted alliance. Like Yamato is teaming up with xDrake somewhat, even though xDrake's really not on any of their sides because he's an undercover marine, and of course Apu is trying to team up with both of them, but neither of them want to team up with him. Now they're an unwanted alliance. So while they're making their way, Fuga comes crashing through a wall and he seems pretty happy. He seems pretty enthralled to see Yamato, and she makes a comment here. She's like, I know it's been a while, but I'm in a hurry. So I guess that definitely confirms that she's known Fuga in the past. They have some sort of relationship. We don't know to what extent. Of course, there are the rumors flying around that these first three numbers are the samurai that have gone through some sort of giantification process. We don't know how that works yet, but that is the rumor that's flying around. And of course, she knew those samurai back when Kaido threw her into a cell back in her younger days. So it does sort of make sense as to why she would have a relationship with the numbers. She never made mention of the numbers before, but that's the theory. I don't know, just a quick side note, is Fuga a smile user? Because he seems to have a horse's body, so almost like speed. So just a quick note, I'm not sure that we've never known the ancient giants or the numbers to have any kind of devil fruit, but of course we've seen giants with devil fruits. So just a quick little side note there, he seems to have a horse's body. So, but we get a panel of Yamato running, and while she's running, we actually see Brook and Robin falling from the upper levels of the castle. And this makes sense because we know the last time we saw Brook and Robin, they were running from the CP0 members. Brook essentially took Robin in his arms and jumped. Of course, Brook can't fly. He's not Sanji. So we know that this was the eventual outcome. So we see Brook and Robin falling from the upper levels, and we get an explanation that this is the second floor. And we know that Brook and Robin are running from CP0, and CP0 is also essentially getting away from the flames. That was what they said, I believe it's 2 chapters ago, when Kanjuro started this technique. They were the first people like, all right, yeah, let's get out of here, because the flames were moving. And the Kaizambo, we actually get a panel here of the Kaizambo going through the walls and everything's catching on on fire. But Robin and Brook actually fall onto Fuga's head, which he has like an afro, so they fall right into his hair and it's just like a cushion for them. Our CP0 members are right on their tail, and as Robin and Brook look up, they see the CP0 guys after them, and it seems that Robin's actually gonna pull out a move here. Like, I didn't even think Robin had the energy after her Black Maria fight, but she seems like she's got to do something, right? Her back's against the wall, so she's gonna have to fight. But before they even reach, we see the Kaizambo come up from behind, and it looks like they almost get swallowed, at the very least burnt. Now, they're in the CP0, so we know that they have armament hockey, and it probably won't do anything to them, but still, it catches up with them. And here we get a wide view of Apu and Drake and a bunch of different pirates, and we see a wide view of the Kaizambo, and we see just how large in scale it is. We see Fuga's full body, and the Kaizambo is even bigger than that. So, this point, Yamato realizes this thing is going down, and if it gets to basement floor level 2, it will set off the weapons that she's trying to destroy. So that basically means that the mission failed. The island will explode in the middle of the air. No, it won't hit the flower capital, but it'll definitely rain down on the flower capital. You know what I mean? So at this point, Yamato, I believe her plan is to grab Fuga. She wants Fuga's help for some reason. The only thing I can imagine is that Fuga's gonna essentially blast his way to the bottom, so she doesn't have to keep going floor by floor, because at this point the Kaizambo is going through walls. It's catching everything on fire, and it can go through walls. It's a yokai, it's a ghost. So she has no choice but to take a direct route to the basement floor and get rid of the weapons before the Kaizambo gets down there. At this point, I believe it's safe to say that Kanjuro knew about the weapons cache, or at the very least Orochi, who we know confirmed knew about the weapon, told Kanjuro to send the Kaizambo down there. As your last act, send the Kaizambo down there and blow everything up. We know that Orochi is waiting on the Oniwabanshu to make his escape from Onigashima, so we know that he's not worried about that. So now Yamato's mission went from just getting rid of the weapons to getting rid of the weapons with this giant and making sure that the Kaizambo doesn't blow everything up in the process. So we have a couple of different time limits that we're juggling here. At this point, we come back to where the CP0 members, they got burnt, but they're okay. Maybe just their pride is a little burnt, but they'll be all right. And they're actually getting up. Robin and Brook, of course, are there, but Apu is there as well. And Apu does something a little weird here, and he starts talking trash. He essentially threatens these guys, and he's telling them, oh, wow, you know, you guys deal directly with the celestial dragons, but now that Doflamingo's gone, you deal with Kaido. Isn't that something? You know, wouldn't that be a story for Big News Morgans? That's basically a threat. I don't really know what Apu was thinking here, but before he even finishes what he's saying, this guy with the boulder hat uses Zoro to kick this man in the face. Then this dude turns to xDrake, and he's letting him know that we know where your true allegiances lie, which that tells us, the readers, that CP0 already know that Drake wasn't a real pirate. They know that Drake is a member of SWORD. Remember, SWORD is supposed to be a top secret entity within the Marines that are separate from the Cyberpoles. So the fact that CP0 already knows where Drake's allegiances lie, meaning that he's part of SWORD, means that they might know about SWORD, or they've already infiltrated SWORD in some sort of way. And then he goes to use a Shigan technique on xDrake, and before he could even touch xDrake, he gets an explosion to the face from Apu while he's on the ground. Let me just say something here. Apu, his durability is crazy. This isn't a zone user. He's just a regular Paramecia user. He's not even a flying 6 member. You know what I mean? I think is he even a headliner? I'm not even sure, but this man's durability is crazy. I used to underrate Apu, and I thought Kid would have rinsed him. I thought Luffy would have rinsed him. I thought Zoro would have rinsed him by this point. I thought Drake would have rinsed him, but this man's durability is up there. You really can't underestimate Apu. Not not that this, technique coming from this CP0 member, not that the Soru kick that he gave Apu was really anything to speak of, but Apu's taking some real damage throughout this arc, and I'm just saying that I'm definitely impressed. And Apu gets up. Drake's like, wow, you're still alive? And Apu's like, dude, I can use armament hockey. Like, you thought I would have made it this far without being able to use armament hockey? This is crazy. So they're teaming up against the CP0. I know all of us speculated as to how Brook and Robin would be able to get away from CP0. Well, this is how. We do have other pirates on the island that are somewhere in the sphere of strong. It doesn't just have to be the Straw Hats that defend themselves from the Cypher Pole agents. It could be any of these pirates. They're all strong. So now we see that Apu and Drake have formed an alliance to fight against these CP0 members, and they're not just going to be able to walk past them like they were walk past the pirate fodder that they were earlier. So things are really starting to heat up there, and it's crazy because the more I thought Oda was wrapping up fights in Wano, new fights and new clashes are starting to begin. So it's really, Wano is crazy. But anyways, from here we cut to outside of the Skull Dome, and we see that King is in his pterodon form and he's flying around. We know that King and Zoro are of course fighting, and King essentially takes the horn on top of his head and stretches it back and lets it fly. I'm not sure if maybe it's just the air or something that he uses to attack Zoro, but it essentially flies at Zoro like a bullet and he can't even dodge it. He just has to block. And King is essentially lecturing Zoro here. He's saying that's how prehistoric dinosaurs, that's how they used to hunt their prey. I don't know if he's joking or maybe just taking the piss out of Zoro, because we know that's not how dinosaurs used to hunt their prey. We don't know what King is talking about here. But Zoro responds with a 360 caliber Phoenix. It's basically like a giant F-off laser beam that is shot from his swords. We see Mihawk do it. We see a bunch of sword users do it throughout the story. So Zoro is essentially saying, listen, if this dude's in the sky, I gotta figure out a way to close that gap. I need something long range. So he fires off one of those at him, but he can dodge it in the air. King can dodge it. King can also block it in the air. So it's not really having an effect. And Zoro comes to the conclusion that this is a fight that he can't win if he's just gonna tire himself out, sending wave after wave of these beams at King while he's in the air. From here, Zoro and King are having a back and forth. Zoro shouts at him, I suppose pterodons flew with fire on their backs too. I don't know if Zoro's just trying to call out King for essentially lying about what he is. Maybe that's it, because it's almost as if King is trying to prove to Zoro that this is how dinosaurs are. Queen is kind of doing the same thing with Sanji, and Zoro's like telling this man, King, essentially, you're not a dinosaur. You're something else, because you're flying around, yeah, but you've got fire coming out of your back and you're not a dinosaur. So King essentially gets mad. He tells him, get your story straight, and he flies at Zoro, and Zoro responds with a Kalisutra Great Dragon Twister. We've seen him do the Great Dragon Twister before. Of course, we saw him use it in Fishman Island. It's a badass technique, but King is blocking it. He uses his wings to block as well, and that's not gonna work on the likes of King. So King comes back with an attack of his own. He takes out his sword and he basically stops Zoro's technique in his tracks. And he's saying that he's no normal dinosaur. He's on another level. And he pulls out his sword, and I guess now King is finally going to use his sword. And guess what, guys? King's sword is a black blade. I was not expecting that one. But anyways, Zoro starts to think to himself, listen, I just gave him all those techniques and I didn't even pull a drop of blood from him, which to Zoro must be a huge surprise, because he was able to cut Kaido, I believe, a couple of times. So for him to put King through so much and not even draw blood, yeah, I'd be a little stumped as well. And he's starting to realize this is not normal for Zoro not to be able to cut things. King starts slapping him around, and the whole time Zoro's thinking to himself, this guy's a part of a race that I've never seen before. Zoro's fought fishmen, he's fought giants, he's fought, Kuma and a bunch of different types of people, zombies, and he realizes that King is tougher than all of them. So clearly King is not of a race that he's seen before. And at this point, Zoro starts to doubt himself, something we've never really seen before in this series. He's like, I'm not sure I can win. If I don't know what's up this guy's sleeve, if I don't know what race he is, I'm not sure I can win. We see Zoro on the floor, and we know he's not defeated, but he's definitely down. And we see an up-close shot of Enma, and all of a sudden we hear a shaman playing out of nowhere. In the very next panel, we see that Enma is reacting to the shaman playing. He's drawing on Zoro's haki, and Zoro almost looks painful. Like, we already know that Enma is the type to draw the haki out of their user. So Zoro is, reacting to that like, yo, this is crazy. Enma, what do you got going on? In the next panel, we see that Orochi hears the shaman as well, and he peeks through the window and he sees none other than Komurasaki playing the shaman. So at this point, I guess the question is, Enma, does it have some sort of Odin spirit in there to where it would react to Hiyori playing the shaman? Because as soon as that happened, Enma reacted and started draining Zoro's haki. So Enma's not finished fighting. Even if Zoro is, Enma's not. So that just raises a couple of questions that I hope in the future Oda will answer. But anyways, we cut to Orochi. We see that he sees that it's Komurasaki. We know that Orochi loves Komurasaki, and we know that she does not love him. So he opens the door, he goes in there, and he's like, oh my gosh, Komurasaki, am I dreaming or did I die? Like, I've waited for you this whole time, ever since that night that I basically got you killed by attacking you. At least if Kyoshiro didn't kill you, then I would have killed you myself because you slapped me in my face and I didn't appreciate that. But anyways, Komurasaki, Hiyori, replies and she says, likewise, Lord, I wanted to see you as well. And I don't know about y'all, but at this point, I basically had in the back of my head, oh yeah, she's gonna kill this man. Like, it's over for this man. Like, he just fell straight into her trap. And I really wasn't expecting Hiyori to get blood on her hands at this point, but it was kind of speculated that her beef was with Orochi, and now, she has him essentially where she wants him. You're not gonna attract him into a one-on-one situation if she doesn't have a plan. You know what I mean? So we see that he approaches. Obviously, he has no idea. He's crying. He's just so happy to see her. He's so in love with her. I'm pretty sure it's over for Orochi. He should have just waited on the Oniwabanshu to come and pick him up, but obviously we know that they're tied up with fighting as well. We know that Fukurokuju and Raizo are currently in battle right now, so they're tied up. And look, Orochi, it seems like your days are pretty much numbered. Now, we don't know how she can really kill him though, because as far as we can tell, you can't kill him by cutting off his heads. Kaido tried that, the Scabbers tried that. So what can she do? She has something hidden up her sleeve. So great chapter, great setup chapter. We got a lot of setups in this chapter. The action was obviously on 10 as usual. It's a war, so we know that it's gonna have a lot of action. And I like what's going on with Yamato and Drake and Apu. I like how they're playing like alliance musical chairs, and Yamato's on her mission, then they're gonna help her, now they're on their own mission, then they're fighting. Like, I like that. It creates something that we haven't really seen before in these battle chapters in One Piece. So I'm definitely gonna give this chapter a 7 out of 10. It was a setup chapter, so still very, very good. but you know, there's a couple things here and there that we know when Oda will come with the heat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you drop a comment. I've got some videos coming out this week that I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna like. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter at Anime Sifu, and of course, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will catch you guys next time.